Hey everyone, Scott here, better known as Narebo, and today I am drawing an AirAsia A320. Actually, the way that I'm going to start this is by doing the titles and the logos first, because that's basically what this livery is. If you look at a picture of any AirAsia aircraft, you can see that it's basically all logo. There's really not much else to it than the main titles on the side of the fuselage and then the big AirAsia titles on the vertical stabilizer. So if you want to draw that livery and put that on an aircraft template, such as the one that I'm going to be showing you soon, you're going to need to do the logos first, because without that, you got nothing. Anyway, what I did is I went out to Google Images and I found a decently high resolution version of the AirAsia logo. And yeah, there are some vector logos out there that I could have just downloaded and taken and applied directly to my illustration, but I don't like to work like that. I like to create everything myself. That way I know it's 100% my illustration, and I don't know, I just like working from my own graphics and my own elements and my own assets. It just makes me feel better as an illustrator. I could take that shortcut and use images that I find on Google, but anyway. So what I'm doing now is I'm just in Adobe Illustrator, and I'm using the pen tool to trace the logo that I found. And this is fairly tedious work. And if you just want to fast forward through all this stuff, skip ahead about 5 minutes, because this is very tedious, and I'm just going around the entire logo with the pen tool as best as I can. And this entire process took me about maybe 45 minutes total. But for the sake of this video, I sped it up really fast so you don't have to sit through it. It's tedious, it's painful, but again, I feel so glad for doing it myself, to say that I did this illustration. It's mine, it's worth it, and I can use this graphic that I create for pretty much anything in the future, knowing that it's mine, I didn't steal it from anybody, and I highly recommend anybody who's doing illustrations to use that same approach. I mean, just don't steal, use your own graphics, create your own graphics, and it's just better all around. Another good reason for doing this is that it'll teach you a lot about the pen tool in whatever app or drawing program that you're using. When I first started using Adobe Illustrator way back in, I don't know, it was maybe the 2005, 2006, I had no idea how to use the pen tool. It was incredibly frustrating, and it drove me nuts. And I gave up on it so many times. And the only way that I learned is just by doing it over and over and over again, just being repetitive, being consistent, persistent. And then I finally, I'm not even an expert now. I don't claim to be an expert with the pen tool, but I know my way around it, and I can easily trace and create somewhat complex graphics such as this AirAsia logo without too much effort. It just takes time. It's not difficult. It just takes time. Like I said, this took about 45 minutes. So as long as you have the patience to sit through and just grind through it, it's going to be worth it. Not only because it's your graphic, you're learning along the way, and it feels good. I can't even really explain it. Just create your own graphics. So anyway, it looks like I'm almost done here. I'm probably stabbing my eyes out with my my pen tablet by this point. I remember feeling somewhat frustrated that it was taking so long, but I knew that I was doing the right thing. So, and again, as I got to the end point here, I was thinking that it was almost getting easy, because I was very familiar with the way that the AirAsia logo is and what the arcs are and the style of the logo. It's a little bit hard to explain using words like this, but just you get into that zone when you're doing something like this, and you're just like, okay, yeah, I know when I turn the corner here, I'm going to have a slight radius, and I know how to position the pen tool and where to put the anchor points. And again, to anyone who's just new to this, that probably sounds horribly complex, but trust me, it's not that bad. With practice, you'll get better, and I felt pretty comfortable making this. I knew just looking at this logo that I could do it. It wasn't going to be that big of a deal. To some that it might look like it's just impossible to trace or impossible to recreate, but nope, not that bad, just time consuming. So now I'm just punching the holes through in the A's, and I am now over in Photoshop with my Airbus A320 template, which, by the way, if you want to get the small, low-resolution version of this for free, just go down to the link in the description below, and you can get that, and you can follow along as I'm doing this. So, as I said earlier, the AirAsia logo is essentially the titles. That's it. And there are a few arcs of color. There's some positive and negative space with the red and the white. And probably what happened is it looked like they had a large graphic that they just scaled up. I don't know what that graphic was. Maybe it was actually part of the logo itself, and then they just scaled it up and just placed that over top of the side view of the aircraft like this, and then that's how they got their positive and negative space. I don't know. That's just kind of what it looks like. But thankfully, it's fairly easy to recreate. And again, here we go with more logo stuff. Thankfully, this is an existing font that I found. The one that I found wasn't exactly the same as the AirAsia typeface, but it was very close. And with just a little bit of modification, I got it looking right. Anyway, that font is Domus. D-U-M-U-S. Domus? I don't know. Anyway, Domus extra bold. And I had to modify the holes of the A's slightly to match the actual AirAsia typeface. And again, I mean, this is not 100% accurate, but it's close enough. It's actually really close. And I was really happy that I was able to find a font, and I didn't have to trace it all out in Adobe Illustrator like I did the AirAsia titles. Anyway, what you just saw me doing there was importing the AirAsia logo that I did in Adobe Illustrator, and I just placed it over the tail, and then I essentially, what did I do? I selected it, and then I just cut a hole out of that rearward red section and the vertical stabilizer. So I didn't actually place it over top of that red. I just used my logo as a guide. I selected it, and then I punched a hole through the red. So you can see all the shadows and textures and part lines through that red color. Now I'm just adding little details here, and as I like to do, I steal elements from past illustrations that I've done. What you just saw me was going to some other illustrations to get those Airbus fonts, and then just minor little details. And let's see what I'm doing here. Oh, I'm using the, just in Photoshop trying to get the fonts for the Malaysia titles, and then the landing gear numbers and fun stuff like that. So I'm going to add a little bit of gloss and reflection to the engine there, and looks like I'm just about done here. Just, these illustrations could just go on forever, and it's so frustrating for me sometimes because I feel like I just want to just go forever and add every little detail, and I want to, but at the same time I have the attention span of a fly. I can't spend weeks on an illustration. It'll drive me nuts. So I need to call it good at some point, and usually what happens is after I add the reflections and the gloss on the side like this, it's just about done, and it's looking pretty good. I think that's just about it. And is that it? What am I doing now? Just tinkering as always. Like I said, it's just never done. So, yep. Now it's done. That is my illustration. That is the AirAsia A320. A fairly simple livery to do. It wasn't that bad. It's just it was just tedious trying to trace the logos and the typeface. It just takes time. But if you just hang in there, you can get it looking pretty good. And yeah, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section below. And I'm usually fairly responsive, and I'll get back to it as soon as I can. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.